G'day friends, welcome to today's YouTube video. My name is James. Welcome back to Mermay 2024. This is day 5. I hope you enjoyed this little video. I'm not going to be on for long today, but I do have a question for you. What do you want out of journaling? I have that here. Question mark. What do you want out of journaling? For me, I like to sit down. I like to have a good time. There are certain projects that I do, like my 5-year journal, that I have very specific expectations for. So I expect to see it full and finished by the end of the 5 years. And to reflect a lot of actually what happened in my life. I like to be full of photos, full of memories, and be a really good record and documentation of 5 years of my life. So that kind of stays over there. For a lot of the other journals I have, in fact, mostly all of them, I actually don't have any expectations, that I will have a good time when I sit down and open them. So when I open them, I'd love to see things that trigger, nostalgia. I want to go walk down memory lane. I love to see lots of photos in there. If I'm feeling homesick, I love to see lots of photos of family. Lots of my imagination I like to see poured out in there. I like to see visually appealing things looking back at me. So when I work in my journals, when I play in my journals, sometimes I work in them, sometimes I play in them. But when I do anything in my journals, those are typically the things I end up doing so that I can A, enjoy it while I'm doing it, but then also B, enjoy it when I look back through them. And so that has just been kind of a process over years and years and years. And I will say it didn't start out that way. I was kind of confused for a while about what I should do with my art journals. And I think it's a trial and error process for a lot of people. But if you're always kind of asking yourself, like, what do I want to see when I open them, you will get a better understanding of what you want to do when you sit down with the time and energy and art supplies to do it. So always focus on the thing that you're excited about or enjoying about it and that you want to see, and move in that direction. They always say, what is it like when where your heart is focused, your head will follow, or your eyes will follow, or something? But I do think that's kind of the same thing with art journaling, and it is going to be the most authentic and the most sustainable for you. It's weird to say sustainable about a hobby, but realistically, we all kind of go through phases with hobbies and, different things that we do in life. Just because I art journal for years and years and years doesn't mean that I would do it necessarily, and especially not the same way, had this not become a part of my job and the way that I pay my bills. Like, realistically, we always have to kind of factor that in. But I have always loved drawing, and I've always loved doing arts and crafts. So that's always been a thing, but I have enjoyed it more than ever in my life, now knowing what I enjoy is the most important thing for me to go and chase down. It seems obvious. You would be surprised about how many people are doing things they don't enjoy. Listen to people when they're speaking on their videos next. I've seen tons of content where people are actually talking about things that are bringing them kind of misery, things that are like people who are art journaling and it's burdensome for them. People are doing a lot of things that actually don't make them very happy. And so this is why I kind of pose that question to people today, for whoever's watching. What do you want out of art journaling? What do you want to experience while you're doing it? And what do you want when you look at them? What do you want to see? Because we all have these expectations, and we have these intentions, and they kind of dictate how we're going to move through that process. So I think it's important to think about. We won't think about that for too long though, but if you do feel so obliged to put in the comments below what you want out of art journaling, I'd love to hear it. I'm sure other people would love to read it as well. Today I was painting with watercolor in my journal, which this paper, I've told you before, is slightly better than copy paper that you would put in your printer. So it does warp and buckle like crazy, but again, in the interest of being fuss-free for Mermay, I just decided to do it anyway. She's got a bit of a Kylie Minogue thing going on. I'm not quite sure how that happened. I think it has something to do with the hood effect around the face. And the watercolor did buckle the paper a little bit, or tear it. And so I just decided to go with that and tear the whole mermaid out. You could do a really lovely layering effect if you wanted to do, if you did 7, you could do a whole week of these mermaids, where you start really close to the spine, the gutter of the book. You draw your mermaid in there, rip the edge off, then draw the other one slightly peeking out from behind that on the next page, then rip that off, next page. So you've got these like stacked 7 mermaids. I did that before in a project I did for Creative Jumpstart years ago. And I do like that interactivity, that kind of stacked effect. When I'm working in this journal, I have become so reckless with it, which is so great. That's exactly what I wanted. You're starting to see here the start of me putting in more things. Like, there are suddenly mermaids popping up from the day before, from when I last filmed the video, day 4 and day 5, that excuse me, that in-between period, you'll start to see that I've taken some extra free time and drawn some new ones. And then also how I've just started like ripping the paper out and sticking random stuff in there. This is when I started to really feel like, okay, I know what I want to do. I know how I'm going to go. And actually, let's just make this a full-on art journal. At first, it was just going to be my art journal to do Mermay in, but then I realized I want this to be the journal I am using right now for this whole entire process until it's finished. So it's technically an April-May 2024 journal. Who knows, maybe it'll go in past May as well, but I was just having such a good time feeling so carefree in it. And sometimes it does take us, pardon me, I'm losing it today, between my nose and my breakfast. Sometimes it takes us to be with art supplies or like with a journal that's not so precious to help us free ourselves up to rip the pages out. I really don't ever feel like doing that to really beautiful, nice paper. So in this instance where the paper was already tearing itself out of the book, I was like, great, I'll just rip it out. And it's, I don't know, I don't even want to say it's sad really that we wouldn't do that, or that I struggle to do that with a nicer, more expensive journal. I just think they all kind of function for different reasons. And I do like the no fuss value of having paper that I can't even really work with, which is funny. Back in the day, I hated it. I think if you're starting and you don't really, sorry, I've got the window open. If you don't have, these are really weird looking cars, really old cars. If you haven't had the experience of using nice watercolor paper and nice watercolors and actually knowing how to get your hands around all of those supplies, it always just kind of feels like you're failing when you're using cheaper, less like lower quality supplies. So I wouldn't recommend doing this to start. If you only have this, hopefully this is proof that you can actually still make it work. But I kind of like using this now after having experienced all of the better stuff, because now it doesn't feel like I'm failing at it. Now it feels like an intentional choice just to be kind of reckless. Because I used to use watercolor on not watercolor paper and it would turn out like this, and I'd be like, why is it not working how everybody else is working? Everyone's got all those really beautiful mottled effects and it separates and granulates, and mine's just not doing that. But I was literally painting on white cardstock. It's not watercolor paper. It was like a textured white cardstock. It was not good for that, but I still tried it. And I was also using Winsor & Newton watercolors, which aren't bad, but I realized in hindsight I used to use the most sparing amount of watercolor because I thought I would go through the pans too quickly. And I also used those, they're called Artist Loft here, but the round, it's like the round, they look like pastels or like chalk, and they paint like chalk too, but you know those really cheap watercolors a lot of us started out with? I don't see too many people using those anymore. That really felt like a certain time in history, like those 2015, 2014, 2013 era. But I do get really nostalgic for that time too. I really loved the time when I was just discovering art journaling because it all just seemed so new and exciting to me. And to be honest, I feel like there was more content to consume back then of people who would just turn the camera on and just play in their art journals than there is now. I'm going to blame Patreon for that, even though I've been a culprit and I've gone over to Patreon numerous times. I have nothing against Patreon. I also have nothing against people making art journaling their business, but it's that thing we were talking about before, right? Like you start to get success in something, you start to consider, oh, this could actually be my job, then you make it your job, and then suddenly it all kind of changes. And yeah, sometimes it changes for the better for people, and you know, you get what you get. But like, I follow Christine McConnell. She has a YouTube channel, From the Mind of Christine McConnell. I do subscribe to her Patreon as well. And then she had I think it was on Netflix. They did like an actual produced version of the content she was creating on YouTube. And it was all very interesting to see that. Like, she's very, very successful and one of the most incredible, I would say probably one of the most incredible craftspeople I've ever seen in my entire life. Just can pick up anything and do anything, and it's all a little spooky and haunted, which is not really my vibe, but I just can't help it. She is so talented. I have to watch everything she does. So I subscribe to her Patreon. I think it's only like $3 a month or something, and you get a lot of like behind the scenes kind of backstage look at all that. But yeah, that's one of those things where it's like her content is so good and it's so well produced that you don't get it too often. When you do get it, you really take the time out to sit and watch it, so that's a good thing too. But you know, sometimes I do wonder if there was ever a period where like she was just uploading randomly, like, oh, I'm just going to sit at my desk and make this thing today, and would I have reacted the same way to it? Because I really do just I'm so greedy. I want more of everything. I want everyone's content all day long. And I don't even need it to be all good. Like, you don't have to make good stuff. I just want to see your journals. I just want you to open your journals, and I want you to put your paint in there, and I want you to turn the video on, and I want to see it. That's what I want. And I love it when people go out to cafes and do it as well. But I think I'm like a little less, at this point in time, I'm a little less interested in like fully finished things. Like I'm not really interested in anything too curated. Like here is me going out and like I did this page from start to finish, and this is what it, no, I'm lying. I am into that too. No, I'm into all of it. I just want more. I want more of everything. Who do you watch? Who are other art journalists that you watch that I could just see them opening their journals and playing? That's what I want. Anyway, what else have I got? So that's that. That's the mermaid. I have to go to work. I have to go. It's 12:30. I have to be out of here at 1:30. Or I should keep this kind of short because I need to put this out and upload it. I'm off to Disneyland. I'll be dancing there today. So if you're around, come say hi. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me have a look at what's coming up next. I'm not watching them, but I've been seeing what my videos are before I do my voiceover, which I wasn't planning on doing originally. Sometimes I was just thinking I would be in the car, turn the video on and just chat to you, and then I'll just add that to the video. But a lot of the times I've just been sat here chatting to you. But I have had to put the video up because I had to see how long I had to chat. Some videos aren't super long, like they're 22 minutes long, and I can't speak for 40 minutes. Otherwise you'd be watching it at half speed. Could you imagine? I guess I could cut the voiceover into part 1, part 2, but you know, not really trying to do that. So tomorrow, yes, we've got some exciting things coming up. I get really pencil heavy for the next few videos, but love the way that this one turned out today. This, I think, marked the part of my journal where I felt like, great, I know what I'm doing now. We can just fully run with this and commit to it. I do attribute that to the fact that this journal is not precious and it did not cost a lot of money. It was already being upcycled from what it was before. It was really never going to have a life after what I had planned for it before. So, you know, kind of anything is better than nothing mentality. But if you could find yourself a journal to do that with, it's been great for me. And I think also, I know it's only this challenge, pardon me, it's only this month. So I feel like I'm not fully committing to that, and I'm not going to miss out on using my good paper and my good art journals. And no, I've still got all of that. I know they'll come back as soon as this challenge is finished. And this will just be a standalone thing that I want to do for another time. I have to say though, it's really cutting into my ability to work on my workshop properly because now that I'm so into this, it's ruining how I'm seeing my workshop product because it's not really the same thing. But it might be, maybe I'll change it. I don't know. This is the thing with me. Like, if you catch me in a different mood, you could get one of the most curated, thought through, like the black and white deco journal for Virtual Voyage 8. So aesthetically pleasing to look through. So curated. Everything is so Tim Burton-esque. Everything is so black and white. It's just gorgeous to look at and so well put together, I feel like. If I can just pat myself on the back for that. But I was in that mood to be doing all of that, to really have thought through absolutely everything. Now that I'm being so wild and reckless, it's like this workshop just wants to come together. As it comes together, do whatever I want to do. It can just be whatever, which is just not a great way to put a workshop together. Because I won't even know how to tell you what's in it, and then you won't know what's in it, I won't know what's in it. We'll all just be mad at each other for no reason. So it's actually an interesting problem I haven't come across before. Pardon me, I'm trying to do 2 completely different creative things at the same time. Well, not creative things, but you know what I mean? 2 different types of journaling is, I don't know why. I feel like I can really compartmentalize for other ways, but I think I'm just loving it so much. I want my Virtual Voyage 9 to be just the same, but I don't at the same time. That's a problem for me to figure out. Have a wonderful day, everyone. I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye.